Okay, and we are live. Welcome everyone to another session, another live stream. Wednesdays, as you all know, Wednesdays I like to go practical. So if you want some practical tips, then today's the day to be on the live, all right? And I'm just gonna jump right into it because we got a lot of stuff to cover. And it's one of those things where I wish I kind of saw this, somebody explain this to me when I first started. So we're gonna go right into it. Today's live stream is called "Why Your Export Looks Different Than Your Preview and How to Fix It." Okay, and as you all know, preview kind of like what you see on the screen. Sometimes we're going off of it and we're looking at all the colors, everything looks good. But then when we go to export it and we look at it, and especially now in the social media space, we go to look at our the video, and it just doesn't quite look the same, whether it's missing some contrast, something like that. So, if your video looks good in Premiere, but wrong after export, and, it's not a glitch, that's a mismatch, right? So I'm going to show you why this happens and how to make your preview and export actually agree, okay? So if your export doesn't match your preview, you're guessing, not editing, all right? So why does this problem exist? Premiere can show your video in different color spaces. Export settings can override sequence settings. So those are two completely different things. And your monitor may not match your export target. Okay, so, Premiere isn't lying to you. It's just showing you a different version of your image than your export is creating. Okay, so your program monitor is not the same as the export file. And there are two different interpretations of your footage. So what you see right here on my screen, and what I export are two different interpretations. Okay, so what you see is not what you ship unless you align them, and that's what I'm gonna show you, what we're gonna go over. Okay, so sequence settings check. Okay, so I want to show you the sequence and the sequence settings, color space, frame rate consistency, and the working color space. Okay, so your sequence is the blueprint. If the blueprint is wrong, every export that you're gonna make is wrong. Okay, so we're gonna first make sure that our sequence matches the footage. Okay, so a lot of this also goes into when you're shooting or what you're filming, to make sure that your whatever settings you have in your camera are the same settings that you're gonna set in the sequence. All right, so those things have to be synonymous. Now we're gonna go into sequence. Yo, nice Insta post. Hey, what's up, Sebastian on TikTok? What's going on, man? I appreciate that. Appreciate all the love. All right, so what we're gonna go for is we're gonna click on the sequence right here in the program, and then we're gonna click on sequence settings. All right, and the exact sequence that you have on there is gonna show you everything, right? So we're gonna go over right here, time base. I shot this at, or we shot this at 24 frames per second. All right, so the time base, you have to make sure that that's set up as the same 24 frames per second. So if you shot it at 30, which most social media is shot at, then make sure that your sequence is shot at 30 frames per second, 29.97, 30. Make sure that the frame size is the same, 1080 by 1920. So this is a vertical 9 by 16. All right, so make sure that that's that. And then we're going to go to the color management. We're going to make sure that the right here color setup, right? I have a custom one, but it's going to be the output color space is a Rec 709, and you could change it to Rec 2020, Rec 21 HLG, PQ. We could go over broadcast and all those different things, but we'll do that in a separate video. And advanced, make sure that the working color space is Rec 709. That way, it's the same as the output color space. Okay, and then there's a couple of different other things that you can put in here, but we're just going to go very basic and not go too much into that, which I can make in a separate video. Okay, so for general, that's what it is. We want to make sure that the sequence matches the footage, or the footage that's in there next time you go filming, that it make sure that those settings are the same things you put in the sequence, if that makes sense. And then make sure that the sequence matches the delivery platform, right? And no random overrides. So the sequence settings decide the truth. Make sure you remember that. All right. So a lot of those mismatches when you export will happen from that. Okay. Now we're going to go to program monitor lies just a little bit. All right. The program monitor, so this right here, it could display management. It's going to display all the LUTs that you have, and it could also be left into GPU interpretation, which is the actual computer that goes inside the system, right? So remember this, your program monitor, so this right here, what's showing you the previews of your timeline is for editing, okay? Cutting, all that stuff, not judging your final color, okay? Um, there's different things that we can do. We could turn off the display LUTs when we're checking and compare scopes, not just eyeballs, right? So a lot of what I've spoken about are, for example, let's go to Lumetri color scopes, and we're gonna get this guy right here, and then let's say, for example, I like to use the waveform, the parade, and then the vector scope YV, which shows the different colors. Actually, take off the radar RGB just for right now, all right? And let's set that up. So these scopes are going to be way more closer to what your color actually is than what your monitor is. So let's say that even the monitor that you're working off of is not true color, or maybe it's just a cheaper monitor, or I should say a budget monitor. It's not showing you exactly what it is, or exactly what the color is, and that's why you'll get that mismatch when you actually export the footage, right? But the color scopes will show you exactly what is being shown, true color, true exposure, all that. And this one right here is more for exposure, and I like to use the YUV because it shows you the true color, especially when you have skin tones and things like that. It'll show you that it's a little bit more towards red, going a little bit more towards yellow. And yeah, and I have a video actually on explaining the scopes a bit and how I use them and which ones I like to use. So that's a different video that I have for that. So this is another thing. Make sure I can't do, emphasize this enough. Make sure you use the scopes. Those are your real eyeballs, not your actual eyeballs. All right, those will lie to you. Depending on also like what light you're editing in, like in the room, maybe it's a little bit more tungsten, and it'll make your footage actually look more tungsten than what it actually will interpret when you export, if that makes any sense. So just something to look out for. Don't trust full screen mode blindly. Trust the scopes, not vibes. Make sure you do that. All right, moving right along. We're going to go to export settings that break the look. All right. So I'm going to show you the export panel. So let's say, for example, I want to export all this right here up until the end. I'm going to mark that, and then I'm going to hit export. Right. And then, the file name, I can name it whatever. Let's just name it one. Sure. With the location where it's going. Preset, that's if you have a custom preset. And let's say you don't have a preset. I usually like to do a match source adaptive high bit rate at the H.264. I like to use that one a lot. Let's say, for example, what we're going to do is the format, we could go into ProRes and all the different things and H.264 or maybe H.265. But again, we're not going to go super granular on this. We're going to go a little bit surfaced, but still kind of going into why you have those mismatches when you export in Premiere. We're going to do H.264 for the format. Then what we're going to do is click on a down arrow in video, and then you'll see, you can match source. So what that's going to happen is that the export's going to match whatever you have, whatever settings you have in the actual sequence, right? So what we had was what I showed you before, 1080 by 1920, which is the frame size right here, vertical. The frame rate, which is important too, at 23.976. Same thing I had on the cameras when we shot it. Field order progressive. You could actually go in there and kind of look that up. And what we're going to do is actually, and again, we're going surface. So we're going to click render at maximum depth and then use maximum render quality. All right. Now, encoding settings, performance, and then right here, the export color space. Make sure you have the color space that you're working on is the same that you had in the sequence, the same one as it is right here. So it's pretty locked in because we're matching everything. But again, when you export and you see different colors, this could be one of the big reasons why. And now HDR graphics. Now what we're gonna do is, you'll see I have it kind of different. 203, which is 75% HLG and 58% PQ. But what I want you to notice is right here, bitrate settings. Now you're gonna see a lot of different things and be like, hey, wait a minute, I don't like to do it like this, and this could be controversial. I'm just going to show you. I'm not even going to show you exactly how to get the best quality settings, but at least settings that match exactly what you're working on in the sequence, right? Because it's all left up to interpretation. But for example, let's do, I like to do a 2-pass, and then, these could be target bit rate 30, maximum bit rate 35. Again, showing you examples of what it could look like, right? And again, it'll show you this preview right here. Another thing that's been, I'm sure you guys have seen is, for example, there's an actual LUT that you can use to, sometimes when you export, it just looks kind of washed out. And that was a big thing going on in Premiere. There's actually a LUT that'll show you. Let's go right here. It's called the QT Gamma LUT, and you can actually put it right here in effects, and then Lumetri Look, which is the lookup table, and then you can actually apply that one that I have, and I actually have it in. I don't want to go through all my stuff here, but I think I have it pretty much out. Let's go to, here it is. It's called the QT Gamma Compensation LUT, and let's say I just put that in there. Open, boom. Now, if you look at that, you'll see that if I take that out, none, and then look at the footage, you'll see it's like a lot lighter. But what it'll do, that compensation LUT, is that it'll give a little bit of contrast, and then when you actually export it, it'll mess with the gamma part of it, and then that way, when I export it, it actually has the same contrast that it did with the footage that I was working on when I was color grading. Okay, so that's one of the things that can help out. So I gave you guys a couple tools. So make sure these things are what kind of break that look, right? So export panel, the color space, render at maximum depth, which I showed you how to do it here, and then the profile level mismatches. And just remember, export presets are starting points, not promises. So if you found one that works out for you and how you're color grading your footage, make sure you save that right here in these 3 dots, by preset, save preset, or you could just import one that you've made before. Awesome, right? So talked about the bit depth mismatches and all those other things. Now, make sure, and this is kind of like something that you could use, the kind of 3-step parity check. Make sure your sequence color space is the same as the export color space, as what we saw here. Down right here, export color space, Rec 709. Monitor check with the scopes. All right, so make sure that these scopes right here are what you're going by, all the colors, as you can see right here. Let me actually press play. Not here, we'll do it there. And then as you can see right here in the scopes, it's moving because it's showing you exactly what the exposure is. And even right here, it'll show you the different colors going into it. Right? And then what you can do is actually, let's say this was a longer project, or this one right here is just like barely a 9-second small reel. What you can do to kind of just check it is, like, just go to 1 second and then just export that, or a shorter part of the video, and then you can export that and then look at it on the TV or on your phone, and then double check that and make sure that that's looking the way you want it to. And if it is, then you can go ahead and export the whole thing, or you can go ahead and change whatever it is you need to change, right? So when preview and export agree, your confidence doubles because you know exactly what you're looking at is what's coming out. So parity equals trust, right? So I'm just going to close this out real quick. Let me know if you guys have any questions on the comments. Um, Make sure you guys, if you have like your own way of doing things, then go ahead and do it. Again, this is just kind of like a surface cover area, but make sure that on your next export, you check your sequence first. Everything's matching how you shot it. Check your color space, very important, and export 5 seconds before exporting the whole thing, just to double check it. You'll stop guessing, and then you start delivering on exactly what it is you want it out. Make sure that everything, and it all starts from when you're filming. Make sure that, and even if you're not filming the footage and you're just editing somebody else's footage, make sure they tell you exactly how they shot it. And you could double check it on over here on your sequence. You can go to metadata and actually, let me see if I have it open on one of these. Probably don't. If you go on the window, metadata right here, and then let's choose a clip, and it'll show you exactly what, the file name and the frame rate it was shot right here. It'll show you everything: media start, end, the duration, pretty much all the metadata that you have, and how people named it or whatever. But you can go on there and check that one out. Yeah, it's pretty much the ones that I like to use to kind of see that. Close that out. All right, and that's pretty much it. So is pretty much what you should see on the export. All right. Let me know if you guys like a specific one, or if you guys have any other suggestions.